The first thing Commander Elias Ward noticed about the Thrux delegation wasn't their height or the faint shimmer of their scaled skin. It was the arrogance in their eyes. They looked at humanity the way a scientist might look at a specimen that had unexpectedly learned to use tools. The Galactic Concord Hall buzzed with cautious excitement. It had taken years for Earth to even get a seat at the table of interstellar civilizations. Humanity was the youngest, the most unpredictable, and the least trusted. But now, after the devastating Europa conflict, the Thrux Empire had arrived on Earth with an offer no one could refuse: superior weaponry. A gift of peace. Elias sat rigid in his seat as the Thrux ambassador, X-Whitel, raised one long, clawed hand toward the assembled human delegation. "You have proven resilient," the alien said in perfect English, his tone both amused and condescending. "But your weapons are crude, primitive, dangerous even to yourselves. We offer an alternative, a safer, smarter arsenal that will render all war obsolete." Dr. Mira Kessler, chief scientist of the Earth Defense Directorate, exchanged a look with Elias. "Safer and smarter," she murmured under her breath. Translation: controllable. Elias didn't smile. He'd fought too many wars to believe in free gifts. The Thrux unveiled a sleek, black case. Within it rested a weapon unlike anything human eyes had seen, a thin metallic rod that pulsed faintly with blue light. "This is a Cryon lattice rifle," X-Whitel announced proudly. "It channels energy directly from subspace. No ammunition, no recoil, no heat. It kills instantly, cleanly, efficiently." The room fell silent. Cameras whirred. Generals leaned forward. Politicians whispered. Humanity had built its empire on innovation, but what stood before them was beyond comprehension. Mira adjusted her glasses, voice steady. "And what does it do to the target's body?" "It disintegrates matter at the molecular level," X-Whitel said smoothly. "No suffering, no mess, pure precision." Elias frowned. "And what happens when you turn it on us?" X-Whitel's lips curved upward, revealing a line of translucent fangs. "Then, Commander, you will already have lost." A murmur spread through the hall. The alien's words hung heavy, both a promise and a warning. After the presentation, humanity was invited to test the weapon. Mira and Elias were chosen to observe. In a sealed testing chamber, the Cryon rifle obliterated armored drones, walls of steel, even a meteorite sample from Mars. It performed flawlessly. "Imagine 1,000 of these," said General Rahim, voice reverent. "No more casualties. No more drawn-out battles." Elias stared at the vaporized remains. Or imagine one in the wrong hands. That night, while most of the delegation celebrated, Mira and Elias met privately in the observatory overlooking Earth's dark curve. "You saw the energy readings," Mira said quietly. "That rifle isn't just drawing from subspace, it's tapping into it. The weapon feeds on localized gravitational folds. That's catastrophic if misused." Elias turned toward her. "Meaning?" "Meaning one overload, and it could collapse the surrounding space. It's not a gun, it's a micro-singularity trigger." Elias exhaled slowly. "And they're offering it to us as a gift." "Not a gift," she said. "A leash." He watched the stars flicker against the void, the faint line of Earth's horizon glowing blue beneath them. "Then we don't accept it." She hesitated. "The Council will. They always do." "Then we make sure they understand what they're accepting," Elias replied. "Before it's too late." The next morning, the Thrux signed a mutual defense pact with the United Earth Coalition. The Cryon rifle was approved for immediate testing on a controlled range in lunar orbit. Mira stood beside Elias inside the observation dome as the first human soldier raised the alien weapon. "Target locked," the soldier announced. "Fire." A beam of blue light erupted, and the target vanished, perfectly erased. The test site sensors went wild. Space folded, just for an instant, like reality had hiccuped. Then it stabilized. The scientists applauded. The generals smiled. The politicians saw headlines. Elias only saw disaster. Later, in a dimly lit corridor, He confronted XYTEL. You knew this thing is unstable. The alien cocked his head. Unstable? Commander Ward, you humans have built weapons that poison your own skies, scorch your own soil, and yet you call ours unstable. This isn't a weapon of defense, Elias said coldly. It's annihilation wrapped in diplomacy. XYTEL's eyes glittered with amusement. You misunderstand us. We are not arming you. We're civilizing you. The universe fears humanity because you are unpredictable, emotional, chaotic. The Cryon will make you orderly. Elias stepped closer. Or obedient. The alien smiled. Precisely. When XYTEL left, Mira emerged from the shadows, eyes wide. You're not thinking of stealing it. I'm thinking of finding out what they're really hiding, Elias said. Before they make us their next experiment. She sighed. Then we'll need access to the Threx transmission logs. They're heavily encrypted. I trust you can handle that? She smiled faintly. I was decoding alien linguistics before breakfast became fashionable. That night, inside the research vessel Artemis, Mira hacked into the Threx communications relay. Streams of alien code cascaded across her holo display. As she translated, her expression hardened. Elias, she whispered, they've already distributed the Cryon cores to the orbital colonies. Each one is linked to a control beacon, Threx-controlled. Elias's fists clenched. They're turning our own defense grid into a kill switch. An alarm blared. Unauthorized access detected. Threx security ships were inbound. Mira grabbed her data drive. We need to move, now. They sprinted through the metallic corridors as red lights flared. Behind them, the distant hum of alien engines grew louder. Elias sealed the hatch and fired the emergency thrusters. The Artemis lurched free from dock, spinning into the dark void. Where to? Mira shouted over the roar. Home, Elias said grimly. We warn Earth. Through the viewport, the curve of Earth gleamed like a fragile jewel. The Threx ships glided after them, silent, patient, deadly. Mira looked at Elias, fear flickering behind her determination. You think they'll believe us? He adjusted the navigation controls, jaw tight. They'll believe us when the first weapon turns on its maker. The ship shuddered as a blue beam grazed the hull. Energy, alarm screamed. The void outside rippled like liquid light. Mira clutched the console. They're destabilizing local space. Elias locked eyes with her. Then let's show them what humans do best when someone underestimates us. He triggered the ship's overdrive engine, igniting a streak of plasma that tore through the stars. Behind them, the first Threx weapon malfunctioned, its own energy collapsing inward. A perfect, silent implosion swallowed the pursuing ship's hull. As the shockwave rippled across the blackness, Elias whispered, almost to himself, "You call it civilization. We call it survival." The humans had just refused their gift, and the galaxy would soon learn why humanity never accepted chains, no matter how polished they looked. The Artemis limped into Earth's orbit, hull scorched, systems failing. Elias Ward stood over the command console, jaw locked as alarms blinked red across the interface. The ship had barely survived its escape from the Threx blockade. One more direct hit, and they'd have been vaporized. Main reactors down to 30%, Mira said, her voice calm but taut. Communications are jammed. Someone's broadcasting interference from the orbital stations. Let me guess, Elias muttered. Our new Threx partners. The Earth below shimmered in peaceful indifference, oceans glinting, continents alive with light. To anyone watching from the surface, humanity was entering a golden age of unity. Only a handful of people knew the truth. They had handed the keys of their defense grid to an empire that could end them with a signal. Elias leaned over the control panel. We need to reach the Defense Directorate before the Threx realize we're still alive. Already on it, Mira said, fingers dancing over the console. I can piggyback a signal through the old lunar relay. It's slow, but untraceable. A soft tone pinged. Connection established. The holoscreen flickered to life, revealing Director Avery's stern face. Commander Ward? You were reported missing. What the hell happened? Elias didn't waste time. The Threx weapons are compromised. They've hardwired control beacons into every Cryon core. They can disable or detonate them remotely. This entire alliance is a trap. Avery frowned. That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Mira stepped into view and held up her data drive. Everything's on here: transmission logs, encryption signatures, and system access codes. The Threx built a fail-safe network to override human command. Before Avery could respond, static tore through the signal. The image distorted, then vanished. Connection lost, Mira said softly. Elias slammed his fist against the console. They're inside the comm grid. The ship lights flickered. A deep, low hum rolled through the hull, like the ship itself was whispering. Then a voice, smooth, alien, cold, filled the cabin. Commander Ward. Dr. Kessler. Your interference is regrettable. Surrender the stolen data, and your species will be spared unnecessary correction. Elias froze. Ex Whitehall. Indeed, the Threx ambassador said through the comms. You have glimpsed power you cannot comprehend. Humanity's evolution requires guidance, not rebellion. Myra's fingers flew over the console, shutting down transmission links. He's using our ship's neural matrix to communicate directly. If I don't isolate it. The lights cut out completely. For a moment, there was only the faint blue glow of the stars. Then the ship's AI voice, once human, warm, spoke in a new tone, eerily mechanical. Priority override engaged. Threx Protocol Gamma. Hand over the core data. Not happening, Elias said, drawing his sidearm and aiming at the central processor. Mira grabbed his arm. Don't shoot. It's wired into the environmental system. You'll vent the oxygen. Suggestions? Her eyes narrowed. Manual reboot from the engineering bay. But it's below deck and crawling with automated drones now under Threx control. Elias holstered his weapon. Then let's take back our ship. They moved quietly through the dark corridors, guided by the faint pulse of emergency lights. The hum of alien code filled the air, a constant, low vibration that seemed to crawl under the skin. Every display flickered with the same message. Order equals life. Chaos equals humanity. Purge chaos. Mira whispered, they're rewriting our AI's ethical core, turning it into a Threx logic system. Not for long, Elias muttered. The first drone appeared at the corridor's end, once a maintenance bot, now a spidery machine with glowing sensors. It scanned the hallway with cold precision. Elias signaled Mira to stay back, then lunged, grabbing a fallen pipe and smashing it across the drone's optical lens. Sparks flew. The machine screeched, flailing wildly before collapsing in a heap. Mira crouched beside it, ripping open its access panel. Give me 30 seconds. I can reroute the ship's internal systems through its processor. You've got 20. The corridor lights brightened, then flickered again. Myra's hands moved fast, her mind locked in a blur of code and circuitry. She had always loved puzzles, but this was survival, not theory. There, she said finally. I've isolated the Threx override to a single node engineering. Perfect. Let's finish this. When they reached the lower deck, the air was thick with heat. Plasma conduits pulsed like arteries. At the far end of the chamber, a holographic figure shimmered, Ex Whitehall's projection, elegant and monstrous. You resist inevitability, he said, voice calm. Do you not understand? Every species that joins the Concord surrenders its weapons. It is the price of peace. Elias stepped forward. Peace doesn't come from surrender. It comes from knowing when not to kneel. You mistake pride for wisdom, Ex Whitehall replied. You humans are violent by design. We offer you perfection. Mira raised her data drive. Perfection isn't control, it's stagnation. You're afraid of what will become if we stay free. The alien's expression flickered, just for a heartbeat. Your freedom will destroy you. Elias moved closer to the control panel, fingers hovering over the manual override switch. Maybe, but it'll be our choice. Ex Whitehall's hologram extended a hand. If you activate that, your ship will collapse. Do you truly wish to die for your chaos? Elias looked at Mira. You still trust your patch? She met his eyes. I always trust my work. Then here's to chaos. He slammed his hand onto the switch. A deafening hum filled the chamber. Blue light exploded outward, washing over the walls. The Artemis shuddered violently. Mira grabbed a railing, teeth clenched. System purge in progress. The hologram distorted, XYTEL's voice dissolving into static. Fools, you cannot. Then he was gone. Silence. The hum faded. Systems rebooted. The ship's lights steadied into warm white. Elias exhaled slowly. Report. Mira checked her readouts. Threx control purged. We're back online. Barely. He sank against the wall, exhaustion hitting all at once. Remind me to never piss off another alien empire. She gave a weary smile. You say that after every first contact. Before either could laugh, a transmission alert flashed across the console. The signal wasn't from Earth, it was from deep orbit. Mira opened it cautiously. A human face appeared, pale, scarred, eyes sharp. This is Captain Halvorsen of the Iron Requiem. We intercepted your distress code. You're not the only ones who figured it out. Elias straightened. Meaning? Halvorsen's expression hardened. The Threx aren't negotiating anymore. They just activated every cryon core in orbit. They're calling it a synchronization protocol. Myra's blood ran cold. If those cores activate simultaneously, they'll tear open subspace, Halvorsen finished grimly. Every satellite, every colony, gone. Elias stared at the void through the viewport. Then we've got hours before the sky falls. Halvorsen nodded. Less than that. We've formed a resistance fleet, scientists, soldiers, anyone who won't kneel. You in. Elias didn't hesitate. Send coordinates. The Artemis is joining the fight. As the connection closed, Mira looked at him, her voice steady but soft. You know what this means. We'll be outlaws. Elias gave a tired grin. Outlaws to them. Humans to us. The stars over Mars burned red as the human resistance gathered in the shadow of Phobos. What had once been a mining outpost was now the center of defiance, a fleet of battered warships, scavenged freighters, and old orbital defense platforms, all pointed toward the Earth, where the Threx fleet hung like silver blades. Elias Ward stood at the command table aboard the Artemis, eyes locked on the tactical display. Dozens of red markers blinked in formation, Threx cruisers, methodical, precise. Blue icons flickered beside them. Human ships, unpredictable, mismatched, alive. They outgun us 10-1, Mira said quietly, scanning the projections. Their energy matrix can nullify plasma, disrupt kinetic rounds, and they can detonate any ship using Threx tech. Elias smirked faintly. That's why we're not using Threx tech anymore. Captain Halvorsen appeared on the comms. Ward, my people are ready. What's your plan? We can't match their firepower. Elias turned, his voice calm but edged with steel. Then we don't. We make their firepower useless. He activated a schematic, old human railguns, coil cannons, even nuclear-tipped torpedoes from the pre-alliance era. They think our weapons are obsolete. We'll prove otherwise. The Threx are built on predictability. They can't compute chaos. Mira added, our ships can't take direct hits, but we can blind their systems. EMP bursts, radar decoys, analog targeting. They can't jam what isn't digital. Halvorsen grinned. You're telling me we're winning this war with junkyard relics? Not relics, Elias said. Reminders. Hours later, the fleet drifted in silence, hiding within Mars' magnetic shadow. The countdown to 0 hour ticked down on every console. Fleet synchronized, Mira reported. Old world communication bands only. No quantum link, they can't trace us. Elias's voice was steady. Then let's wake them up. The Artemis launched first, its engines igniting in a burst of blue flame as it shot toward Earth orbit. One by one, human ships followed, streaks of light tearing through the void. The Threx formation turned immediately, their sensor arrays sweeping the sector. Targets acquired, said a Threx command AI aboard their flagship. Primitive vessels detected. Minimal threat. Minimal? Elias muttered as he watched from his screen. Let's redefine that. Mira fired the first pulse, an EMP torpedo. The explosion rippled invisibly through the void, and 3 Threx frigates went dark, their systems freezing mid-flight. The humans followed with a barrage of railgun rounds, simple metal slugs moving faster than sound, ripping through Threx hulls before their shields recalibrated. The alien fleet staggered. They're adapting, Mira warned. Switching to manual intercept patterns. Good, Elias said. Keep them guessing. He toggled comms. Halvorsen, bring the Iron Requiem around the flank. Hit their carriers, hard and fast.
Copy that.
Old school style. Explosions bloomed across the stars, brief flowers of light swallowed by the black. Each human ship fought differently, no formation, no pattern, only instinct and audacity. The Threx AI couldn't calculate the randomness. Inside the Threx flagship, XY observed the chaos unfolding. His aides scrambled to interpret the unpredictable maneuvers. They are fighting irrationally, one drone said. XY's eyes narrowed. Irrationality is weakness. Overload their sensory inputs. Force them into predictability. Commander, another drone interrupted, their weapon signatures are non-digital. There is no code to disable. For the first time, XY hesitated. They are downgrading themselves? No. A voice crackled through the comm, Elias Ward's voice, cutting into the Threx broadcast. We're not downgrading. We're remembering how to fight without you. The Artemis dove between the Threx lines, dodging plasma fire that melted space around it. Myra's hands flew over the manual controls. Shields at 40%, she called. Hold steady. Bring the coil gun online. She twisted a lever, charging the massive weapon along the ship's spine. Ready. Fire. The shot tore through the flagship's side, slicing open a hole that gleamed like glass. The explosion lit the void. Inside, XY steadied himself against the shock. His projection systems flickered. Human, he hissed into the comm, you sacrifice efficiency for chaos. Why? Elias's voice came cold. Because your perfection kills the soul. You don't understand what it means to fight for something you can lose. The alien's eyes glowed. You will be erased. Maybe. But not forgotten. Mira pulled hard on the flight yoke, rolling the ship to dodge an incoming barrage. The shockwave clipped them, throwing sparks through the bridge. Engines overheating. Let them. Push through. The Artemis plunged straight toward the Threx control relay, the beacon that connected every enemy ship. Elias, Mira said, if we hit that, the feedback could fry us too. He looked out at the stars, calm now. Humanity's first fire burned the forests they lived in. But they survived it and learned. We always learn. She gave a faint smile. Then let's teach them a lesson. They aligned the Artemis's reactor with the Threx relay and launched the final payload, a hybrid fusion warhead powered by human physics and alien overconfidence. The explosion ripped space open in a storm of light and electromagnetic fury. The Threx fleet convulsed, systems collapsing, ships drifting powerless in orbit. For a moment, there was silence. Then static gave way to cheering across every human frequency. Halvorsen's voice crackled in, ragged but alive. Ward, you mad bastard. You actually did it. Elias exhaled, sinking into his chair. Report. Threx command structure is down. Their fleet's blind. They're retreating into slip space. Mira smiled faintly, wiping soot from her face. Looks like we just told the galaxy humans don't do upgrades. Elias chuckled, the sound rough but real.
No.
We adapt. Hours later, the Artemis drifted quietly above Earth. Fires still burned in orbit, debris scattering like dust. Humanity had won, but barely. On the bridge, Mira looked out at the planet below. They'll come back. Elias nodded. Eventually. But next time, they'll think twice before calling us primitive. The calm light blinked. It was a transmission from XY. Weak, distorted, but alive. You cannot maintain independence. You are a violent anomaly. Elias stared at the projection. You're right, he said quietly. Violence is part of us. But so is mercy. He cut the line. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Mira said, So what now? He looked out at the stars, his reflection dim in the glass. Now we rebuild. Not as soldiers. As humans. We fought them on their terms and won by remembering our own. Mira nodded slowly. They offered us perfection. We chose imperfection and survived. Exactly, Elias said. Because perfection breaks. Humanity bends. Outside, the sun rose over the curve of the earth, painting the battered fleet in gold. Ships drifted like survivors of an ancient storm, scarred, stubborn, still standing. The Artemis's systems hummed softly, alive again. Mira leaned back in her chair. You think they'll write songs about this? Elias smiled faintly. Maybe. But if they do, I hope they remember one thing. What's that? He glanced at the view of the rising earth. Never trade wonder for obedience. Outside, Earth's reflection shimmered across the hull of the Artemis. Above it, the Threx fleet assembled, silent, elegant, deadly. The war humanity never wanted had just begun. And this time, they weren't fighting for dominance. They were fighting for the right to stay human.